Tommy, thanks for joining me. Good result on Tuesday, but Saturday's draw made it quite a busy week for you with your travelling.
Yeah. Obviously, the ideal situation was would have gone through in the first game, but credit where credit's due. I thought Gary and his side gave us two really good games, and we had to get the job done in the second attempt. So I was really pleased with our approach to the game. We'd had a bit of illness in the camp, which saw one or two people laid low, both on the staff and on the playing staff. So from that point of view, for us to be able to shuffle the pack a bit and go and put in a really good performance. And as was said after the game, the first half of Tuesday night was showing some mettle, showing some bottle and showing some good defending. And then I thought as the game went on, we scored goals at the right times or good times. And we went on to be fairly comfortable in the end. But it was a really good cup tie. And like I said, you've got to tip your hat to everybody at Bedford Town for giving us such a good couple of games.
Back to league action at the weekend, Curzon and Ashton.
Yeah, as you said, but travelling wasn't an extra. We didn't want to put an extra game in between, the two games we already have away from home in the next 8 days, which is obviously Curzon on Saturday and then away to Kettering on the Tuesday night. But that's the way the league is. We know what's coming. It's not a surprise to us, so our preparation is adjusted as such, and we've been a little bit later with the lads, but that has given people a chance to recover from one or two knocks that we picked up on Saturday. And again, like I said, the bit of unwellness around the place, which really showed its head end of last week, but moved into this week, will hopefully be cleared by the time we get on the bus to go to Curzon Ashton.
Thinking about the fitness in general, I mean, obviously Carl made his first 60 minutes on Tuesday night, which I think the fans loved. Mm-hmm. But the general fitness of the squad, Ben, Michael Clunan was missing.
Yeah, I mean, Michael had the illness more than anybody on the playing staff, and it was felt he should stay away from the group in case it was a contagious one. So from that point of view, that was that. Ben, as everybody knew, came off the game on Saturday early with a tightness in his one of his muscles in the lower leg. So from that point of view, it was just looking after him really. Tyler Denton the same, but they were both on the bench on Tuesday night, which again shows you the depth that we do have, the versatility possibly we do have, and the different kinds of way we can approach games. But as far as I'm aware, sitting right now, there isn't anybody that isn't available to me, other than the young Theo Hudson who's out on loan. Ben Siggers is now back with us after completing his month with Cambridge. So, we've got a good bill of health, and I might have to leave one or two behind.
You mentioned sort of variety and the mix of the squad. The goals seem to be coming from all over the place. It must be pleasing. Yeah,
I was having a conversation with somebody about that yesterday, and usually when a team scored the amount of goals we have fairly early on in the season, there's one runaway, guy who's like with Man City. You've got the fella who scored, 14 goals already. But I hope it goes through the whole season where they're sharing them out, because it's usually, like I said, the versatility we have as a side and the ways we get it done. If it's general play and what have you, I think my forwards will score goals, but so will midfield men. But if it's set play, I expect my defenders to get up there and add to the tally, which both Dents and Josh Goulson have done already. So that's really pleasing from our point of view. And as a coaching staff, we work hard at thinking of different little tweaks and nuances we can add or change, from set players. So when you tend to see coaching staff and technical areas get excited when goals go in at set players because they feel they've done a little bit more. But we haven't. We've just put the idea in their head and we've played it out without the opposition. So look, we're well into the season now, and I think as I've said for a little while, we're there to be shot at, and it's up to us to try and keep the momentum going.
You mentioned being shot at. I mean, the other day I had the pleasure of taking a picture of you with an award. What does the award represent to you?
Well, I think the awards represents the start that the group have had. That's the staff and the playing staff. But ultimately, the players on the pitch are the ones who've got the results for us. So, the individual awards in the environment that we work don't mean a great deal to me, although I'm very grateful for it, obviously. But I think it's a reflection of everything that we've done behind the scenes. People forget, because we're now, we're near the end of September. So that's for the culmination of the first 6 weeks before we even kicked the ball, as far as I'm concerned. The preparation we did, the moment the season was over, at the end of last season, the people that are really closest to me at the football club got our heads together, and we decided we wanted to do something in a particular way. Thankfully, the chairman backed us with that, and at this moment in time, I think he'll be fairly pleased with where we are. There's 23 teams in our division would like to swap places with us. So from that point of view, we're not getting carried away. You know, we need to keep we're focused on the next game, which I keep saying, and I know it's a line that you guys don't like, but it's what it is. You know, the next game is Curzon. We'll count our heads and check that all the limbs are in working order on Friday before we go up, and hopefully we can continue the momentum that something like that has given us.
Be nice to see a row of them come at the end of May.
I would say that would be unlikely. There's always somebody who has a really good spell, but as you know, as we are, we wouldn't want to change too many of the results that we've had so far. You know, we've got to double digits, and that's a really good achievement. But the challenge to the players is to keep it going. You know, we won't change our messages, we won't change our method in terms of the way we prepare the players. But you know, all sorts of things. There's spanners thrown into works for all sorts of reasons, and quite rightly, the biggest one being the opposition. Curzon have done their homework on us, and we're expecting a really tough game. They're a good side, play some great football, play with energy, and they look to play the game the right way. So I expect a very good encounter out there on Saturday.